Hello, all. I was preparing my homily for Holy Thursday and for the Mass of the Supper of our Lord when I realized that on this YouTube channel, on this Facebook page, I did a primer for the season of Passiontide. And again, in my preparation, I said, why not do one for the Triduum as well? Triduum is a funny word. For those who have listened to me speak before, you know that I've said many times that I've been part of the church since I was 4. I was put on the altar early as an acolyte. Never stopped serving every single week through high school, through college. I don't even think I took a week off when I entered seminary, and now 13 years as a priest in the church. And I always did the services of the Triduum, of Holy Thursday, of Good Friday, and of Holy Saturday because sometimes you just have to do these things, and they were also very curious to me. I recall my pastor growing up making an allusion to the fact that the Holy Triduum is kind of like the Holy Trinity. The Trinity we know is God, 3 in 1, and the mystery that's involved in that. I remember him saying that the Triduum is somewhat similar because although Thursday, Friday, and Saturday's liturgies are all separate, they are all connected as one big liturgy. Now, I want to speak about the different liturgies and kind of give you a primer of what to look for as you're watching online or however you'll be consuming this, perhaps reading the printed prayers this year. On Holy Thursday, the first time we notice something is up and different from a normal Holy Mass is when the bells go crazy during the Gloria. And many parishes have their own version of the Gloria that they save just for this Holy Mass. And then afterward, the bells are removed from the sanctuary and the organ is silenced until Easter morning when the proclamation of Christ risen is made. The rest of the Mass is celebrated a cappella. If the priest is able to chant and there's enough people to chant along, it makes for a big, awkward, wonderful liturgy. If your parish has the practice of doing the mandatum, the washing of the feet, it's another thing that shows you that something's up with this liturgy. But I also want you to keep your eye out on the ciborium. And if you've kept an eye on my channel before, you know very well what a ciborium is. I did a video that featured one of them. When the ciborium comes out, you'll notice that after Holy Communion of the people, it's never put away into the tabernacle like normal. Instead, we see stuff going on with it. And after the stuff goes on, and that stuff is, there's 2 extra hosts that have been consecrated during Holy Mass that will be used for Friday for the consumption of the priest, and the Melchizedek is made also for a whole bunch of other stuff. We see that procession to the reserved place. Whatever your parish might call it, whether it is the repository or the altar of reposition, we see that there's a very short procession where the priest takes the sacrament under guard almost to that place. And that's to signify, as Jesus is taken away from the normal comfortable place of the tabernacle to that different place, how he was led that way as well in his agony in the Garden of Gethsemane. As psalms are recited from the altar of repose, we also have the calamity of the altars being stripped. And that, of course, is to represent the arrest in the garden and how his disciples had all left him save for just a couple. And all the liturgy kind of ends abruptly. It doesn't stop. There's no dismissal. There's no finite end. It sort of just flows. The churches are to be remained open. The altar is open of repose for adoration, but the liturgy has not ended. It continues the next morning when the clergy and assistants come out and lay prostrate at the very beginning of the liturgy of the priest sanctified on Good Friday. When they lay prostrate, that's the only time they are called throughout the entire liturgical year to use that liturgical pose. One other thing during this liturgy where we use a liturgical pose for only one time during the year. The cross is revealed that Christ will be crucified on. Behold the wood of the cross. The cross is laid down for veneration by the people, and this year we have no people, so we will not be venerating the cross in that manner. There are readings in the hearing of the gospel of the Passion of our Lord according to St. John, one that features so many of the apostles' actions there. We have the liturgy of the priest sanctified, where the host from the night before is taken and consumed by the celebrant. And here we have an extra priest, a retired priest, so there's an extra host there for him as well. The liturgy of Good Friday also has the creeping to the cross during that veneration, going back just a little bit. And creeping to the cross, as strange as it sounds, is simply that act of taking a few steps and kneeling and getting up and kneeling again, creeping to the cross. The liturgy ends abruptly once again, but doesn't conclude. And once again, it flows into the next day. There are psalms recited. The altar is stripped once again, though it's not as destructive as before, symbolizing what is to happen next. Now, in many parishes, though it's not required, there is the liturgy of the opening of the grave, whether a statue of the crucified Christ is carried in symbolically or whether it's uncovered. It's something that's offered in many parishes. And during that time, a gospel is read where the centurion proclaims, Jesus, truly, this man was God's son. Holy Saturday liturgy, that's something. Every celebrant who's going to lead that is looking over his notes already for that, because it's just a jumbled, beautiful, I'm not going to say mess because of its sacredness, but it's a great final lap of the Triduum. New fire is brought into the church that has been prepared, showing, as it's processed in, behold the light of Christ, that power of the light of Christ overcoming darkness. The Paschal candle is blessed, and the words that are used to bless it are tremendous. Since we have a deacon here at this parish, he is to do that prayer. So we'll see that on Saturday. The Paschal candle is lighted from the triple candle, and from that point, all the lights in church are brought on. Water is blessed and made holy as well, and it's used with that Paschal candle dunking in there in special prayers. Water splashed to the four corners of the church, representing the four corners of the earth. It's a beautiful liturgy. And though we haven't gotten our holy oils this year because of travel restrictions, baptismal water is called to be made as well with the infusion of holy oils. Though we won't have people here, what often happens is those who are present renew their baptismal vows as they are not rebaptized, but as they are sprinkled with holy water. This is the prime time for any baptisms in the parish as well, something I haven't had the opportunity to do yet in my ministry, to baptize somebody on Holy Saturday. If there's going to be a vigil mass, or if it's going to take place on Sunday morning, the liturgy goes on to what happens next. Now again, I spoke about how the Paschal candle was blessed and lighted, and the rest of the candles are lit in church to prepare for that moment of resurrection. Since we do it on Sunday morning, I'll give that quick description what happens here. As we come out for Sunday morning Mass on that Easter Sunday, we head directly to that altar of repose. The grave is revealed to be empty. And then, just after a couple psalms and glorious chants, we proclaim, "Come rejoice, the Lord is risen." I get goosebumps just thinking about that moment now, while the lump is in my throat thinking about how I'll be doing that before an empty church on Sunday. And it's in that moment the Triduum concludes as Christ is brought to the four corners of the church, representing the four corners of the world, with those symbols of the resurrection there as well. We're getting ready to proclaim that victory. And I hope that you'll join us, or whatever church you choose to worship online and digitally, to join in that triumph as well. I hope this serves as a nice little primer. May God bless you as we head into the Triduum of Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Holy Saturday.